Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have a diamond in the rough I'd like you guys to meet. This here is Jackson Waring. He is a quarterback out of Grandview University. Nice to have you today, sir.
Hey Jimmy, how's it going?
Going well, man. Wanted to get a chance to meet this guy who really won it all last year, won the national championship for NAIA, and ultimately also earned the NAIA equivalent of the Heisman, being the football player of the year. So I want to get a chance to know you and your story. So Jackson, go ahead and introduce yourself so we can get going.
Yeah, I'm Jackson Waring. Play quarterback here at Grandview University. It's right here in the heart of Des Moines. You can't miss it. Our field is the Duke, and shoot, one of the top programs in the NAIA. And just like Jimmy said, we got the job done this year, and couldn't be more proud of the team. So
Yeah, I mean, completely undefeated. You guys just kind of went through the table and destroyed everybody and came out victorious. I want to get a chance to know you and your story, which actually, starts with you in the Des Moines area at Des Moines Christian. But I want to ask you first, how long have you played the game of football?
since a peewee, shoot, man, like I'd probably say second grade, and then third grade, I was already putting pads on with a helmet.
So maybe what, 7, 8 years old, something like
Yeah.
that. Were you always a quarterback? Talk to me.
Well, we had weight limits growing up in our Pee Wee league, so I played O line, played D line, played running
Really?
back. Yeah, yeah. The weight limits were like 95 pounds or 80 pounds, whatever it was, and I could just never, I couldn't touch the ball, so I had to
Hmm.
play other spots.
That's pretty interesting for a guy who's now a quarterback who used to play on the offensive line. So definitely an interesting story there. So in my notes, I have that along with football, did some basketball, did some track and field while you were at Des Moines Christian. Talk to me about you as a high school athlete, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, basketball and track. I just want to be a multi-sport athlete, just cross training and not really being specific on one sport. Just wanted to see how good I could be, all around. I ran hurdles and track. I think we went to Drake Relays in state for our shuttle hurdle relay team, and we got third place in state. So that was a huge feat for our guys. I think that was our first time in Des Moines Christian history having such a competent and well-rounded team there. And then for basketball, we did the same. We went to Wells Fargo, which is a place here where the Iowa Wolves play. It used to be the Iowa Energy, but big venue, big event for state boys basketball, and we made it there too. And I've just always enjoyed hooping. You get to be with your buddies, and I've been doing that since I was a youth too. So
Well, Jackson, you're a pretty big dude, for a quarterback. And so I'm thinking to myself, you're coming out of high school. I don't know what's happening to you in your recruiting, if people are recruiting you as a quarterback or perhaps something else, because I mean, quite frankly, I mean, I could literally put you at like, I don't know, 6 different spots on any NFL on any football team. So, talk to me a little bit, confirm your height and weight, and we'll go from there.
yeah, right now I'm sitting at 6'3", 230, but that's just the spring bulk. I'm gonna cut back down to probably a nice 225 and just try and stay steady there. Yeah, uh, I was recruited for quarterback to the FCS schools, and then Iowa and Iowa State both wanted for defense, and those were PWOs. Yeah, no, generally all the FCS schools wanted me for quarterback, and I wanted to play quarterback to the next level. So I just sifted through my best options and ended up choosing Illinois State.
Gotcha. So you were at Illinois State. I know you started a few games while you were there, but talk to me early on about your development as a player there. Perhaps some people, during your time there, which I don't know, really influenced you early on.
Uh, when I first got there, Coach Beathard, who's CJ Beathard, can't remember the relationship, but they are close knit and family ties. But he left there early. He recruited me out of high school, and then uh, our new quarterback coach Andy Bellamini came in, and he opened the door to understanding coverages, that I could understand at a basic level, and continue to go and apply that out onto the field. Shoot, I was just talking about this the other day with a teammate here, since we are going into our last years. And one of the things that stuck out to me when I was in high school, or when I first got there, and I was watching competitive drills with the starters go, and you could just see how much faster it was compared to my high school days. And I was like, wow, how am I going to take my skill set now and be able to go out there and be able to produce and have a good career. And I was a little nervous at first because I mean these dudes are moving, they're flying around, but then as the more you get out there and the more you start understanding the offense and why you're doing certain plays or why you're carrying out your fake here, you start to see the game slow down just a little bit and you start making reads better and you just start to relax back there just a little bit more. But I think it's been a process. It didn't just happen overnight. And I'm extremely grateful to have been thrown in the fire. Played in what I think 5 games, so I got plenty of game experience. Knew what that felt like, and even though I didn't get to finish out my career at Illinois State, I'm extremely blessed to still have played at that level and I've done well.
Cool. So you're at Illinois State for a couple years. You started some games I know in 2021, and then you decided to move to Grandview, where you can maybe perhaps get a little bit more playing time. Can you talk about the mentality of the transfer and what ultimately led you to Grandview?
Yeah. Well, I knew I wasn't going to play. I was fourth or fifth string, and then you're not playing regardless. I mean, you're on the bench. Doesn't matter what position or depth you're at there. But this is when I decided I want to go try and play other positions and at least try and get on the field. I did special teams too. I was on punt block. I was playing R3 on, I think it was punt return. So I got a little taste of that, and I had a blast doing that as well. Played receiver. I played tight end when we were doing scout for North Dakota State. I was a fullback. So and I was having a blast with it. Even though I wasn't getting on the field, I was getting all this extra reps and experience. But at the end of the day, like I still really enjoyed quarterback. And to involve my faith into this is at the same time during this transfer is when I gave my life to Christ. And so through this, I knew I wanted to play quarterback, but I also needed to understand how to lead not only myself, but 80 to 90 men around me. So during this time of transferring, I only had 2 offers coming out, which is Grandview and Central Missouri, out there in Warrensburg. Um, both great spots. I ended up only taking a visit to Grandview, and immediately I was just like, yeah, like this is it. I had a conversation with Coach Woodley, Coach Fulton, Coach Knock, and I just loved the way they handled their program, handled their business, treated their players, and not only developing on the field but also off the field. And so, with that, that's when I decided I wanted to go to Grandview, but I also needed to understand that I couldn't do what I did at Illinois State at Grandview. I needed to make a change in myself, to make a change in the program, that and reach the pinnacle of NAIA, and eventually we come to see that in fruition.
Yeah, and obviously you guys did this past season. Winning it all. And for people that may not be as familiar with NAIA, I mean, it is a separate entity from the NCAA. It gives guys like you an opportunity to play. And so, you go there, and Grandview, really one of the better schools in the NAIA ranks. I mean, always in the mix for deep playoff runs, national title pictures, and stuff like this. And so you're obviously leading that as a starting quarterback. And how would you describe yourself as a quarterback? I mean, I have my own thoughts, but I just kind of want to hear it from you.
I'd say I'm calm, cool, and collected. I mean, you have to be. You're the general on the field. You got to know where all 10 guys are at the same time. Understand, positioning of the defense, what's your pros, depending on the defensive shell, which side of the field are you going to work. It really just comes down to X's and O's, and then how you encourage and lead the men around you, and keep them cool at the same time. Because just like I said, you're the general in the field. They're going to look at you in times of adversity. So you need to make sure that you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed before you start pointing fingers. And so that's how I like to look at it. I like to bring a servant leadership style to it and make sure that my men are taken care of before I am. And I think that's also part of Grandview football program's culture as well. It's just a servant leadership mentality. So I want to try and implement that at the helm. So
Great. And just wanted to highlight at least a couple of stats. Passing efficiency was 153.5. If people want to, know your passing efficiency, so very efficient there. This past season, 21 passing yards, actually 13 touchdowns on the ground, over 500 yards rushing. I think a lot of people might see you more so as a mobile quarterback. I don't know if that's something that you would accept. And so a lot of what really goes into that is executing the RPO game very effectively. And so can you kind of walk me through a little bit of the mentality of how that works?
yeah, shoot, man, we do not run RPO. So a lot of those runs were just designated quarterback runs. So we were running QB power, running QB counter. I mean, shoot, we would run opposite of the strength of our formations because we knew that we had the personnel to go and seal off the backside safeties and corners that were clipping or subbing. Um, yeah, man, and we needed that extra running back to make sure that we had heads counted for, and it was just really up to me to go get us either a couple yards on like a duo, like a 20 or 21 power, and just be like, hey Jackson, just go through the A or B gap and go get us 1 or 2 yards, okay? Or hey Jackson, let's go like 38 bug sweep, and I'm taking off out the oh shoot, I'm sorry, out the stretch, and I'm trying to be the first one to the sideline. I mean, um, but other than that, like drop back pass, that's where a lot of my scrambles came from. I mean, I feel like I have a really good feel in the pocket. I got a good timer back there, just mainly from, and I feel like I got that from high school. On and it's nothing against my high school line, but we just didn't have the personnel at the time. We didn't have 6'5", 6'6" dudes who just were heavy and could move bodies. But so I just got used to sitting back there and knowing when to get out, and especially this past year, I really learned when to tuck and run or try and throw the ball. I feel like when I first got here, I tried to make too many plays throwing on the run, but now this year I made sure to balance that, which made it a little more difficult for teams to tell their players to come up and pressure or stay back. So it's a both and, but I feel like I did a good job with it.
Gotcha. The way in which you kind of describe some of how you guys execute out there for Grandview actually takes me back several years when I'm watching Tim Tebow there at Florida execute some of these QB power runs. And so, like, as I'm looking at guys like him, are there guys who you are trying to emulate, or maybe that you're a big fan of at the next level? I mean, talk to me a little bit. I mean, I know sometimes people don't necessarily want to compare themselves to people at the next level, but part of me feels like you're bringing this a little bit of Taysom Hill to the table as a prospect. Talk to me a little bit about how you would describe some of your better traits as an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty quick release with my throwing form. I love watching Mahomes. I love watching Rodgers. I love watching Allen shoot. Allen is probably, I would probably say, the closest one I compare myself to. He just plays free out there, plays creative, but he also understands the game. He doesn't need to be you don't got to play hero ball, make plays. Get it to your athletes and let them go make the plays. And so I think that's one of the biggest steps that I took this past year is just getting the ball out of my hands quick and letting the guys work. And if I needed to make a play, then, I wouldn't try and do something crazy. I'd just go and do what needed to be done and move on to the next play. And then that goes to say, like, I think my feet are another great attribute I have: pocket awareness, pocket movement, just just being calm back there. Because, the more, if you start getting happy feet, you start getting jittery. One, your reads are going to be all messed up. And two, you're going to be throwing ducks. You're going to be throwing balls that shouldn't be going where they're supposed to be going. And that's usually where turnovers come from. So I just say my release, my feet, and then just I'm still, and it's always a process, but I'm still continuing to grow in just the knowledge of the game, and understanding fronts, understanding shells, where guys are going to be in this scenario, 2x2, 3x1, empty. It's just a constant evolution of the game, and it's just going to take more reps, more practice, more game tape, and just being patient with it.
Gotcha. I want to walk through this past season, which obviously you guys did a phenomenal job. Regular season, running the table, and then you guys get to the postseason where, bro, you are literally going through a gauntlet of teams
Yeah.
who have previously won the NAIA championship. I mean, you're going through Morningside, Northwestern. I mean, this is a really, good lineup. So, um, talk to me about how you guys were able to deliver each time in the playoffs against these opponents. I mean, with really, and I hate to say it, but your toughest opponent was probably the first opponent you had there in the playoffs in Friends University. So, talk to me about the playoffs.
Yeah, they won the playoffs is really fun. I mean, obviously there's just a different atmosphere around it. I mean, just like any kind of postseason football, like you obviously know there's some on the line, so everyone's going to bring their best to the game. But no, you're exactly right. Friends University, they're a good little squad. They play unorthodox football. They play like wing T veer, hide the running back, and just let's chew the clock. And then all their defense is bring six, bring seven, let's pressure, let's get these guys four out as quick as possible. So yeah, no, the reason why that game was just so tough is one, I felt like that was the worst offense we played all season long, so we didn't get started on the right foot. And two, it was just we hadn't seen anything like that all season. So because we're seeing pressure every single down, so we're just needing to get the ball out of my hand quick and pick up the blitz so we can gash them if they want to bring pressure on a run play. Yeah, nonetheless, those guys gave us their best fight, just like the rest of the teams did. But I think the mentality week in and week out was understanding number one that our opponent wants to beat us. They obviously want to move on. Two, we need to take our practice reps like game reps for every rep. And three, we need to understand that we're going to make mistakes and that we have our plans, but it's just like that saying. I don't know who said it, but everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, that's football 101. Like, we're going to have this scheme, we're going to have this set up, but hey, something's going to happen. But we need to be able to bounce back and come and make those changes to the mistakes we made, but also encourage each other. So the next series we get out there, we're not even thinking about last series. We're thinking about the play right now. Um, yeah, and then I also just think it was just the family atmosphere we had on this team, the culture we built through that servant leadership, through the selfless traits that each man showed. Just like I said, we weren't trying to play hero ball. We were just doing our 111th, and that 111th can get you further than someone who wants to say their talents will take them further than that. No, we wanted to do our jobs and we wanted to do them right.
Gotcha. So, uh, again, you guys ran the gauntlet, end up going up against Kaiser there in the national championship, which really, dude, you guys ended up dominating them. Who they're the defending champs, and you're dominating them. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I mean, of course, you guys were able to basically assert yourself, and they just couldn't do much. Anything from that game that we could draw on as to how you guys are going to then again come back this upcoming season and hopefully deliver again.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to go out there and play the game. I mean, that's why we play the game. But nonetheless, Kaiser, has a lot of great talent on that team. They were a really good football team. I just think it came down to execution, knowing our X's and O's, not just from my standpoint, but from the O line to the running back to the wide receivers, and just a lot of guys sacrificing things week in and week out from the beginning of the season all the way to the end, and just seeing it come back to them in full return. And with that, everyone wants to say like, well, you're going to come back and do it again. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Everyone who wins the national championship is going to say that. But all it comes back down to is, are you going to take the time and put in the work to do it again? Are you going to, keep the same, axioms, the things that your team leans on throughout the season, like discipline, integrity, honesty, character, like those things? Are you going to hold your men accountable to do the same thing over again? And it just comes down to execution and how well you do it. So right now we got spring ball coming up, and that's what I want our men to focus on. And then after that's done, summer workouts. Summer workouts are done. Fall camp to season. So one step at a time.
Gotcha. Uh, I want you to talk on somebody on your squad who I really feel deserves a whole lot of acknowledgement, and we need to shout his name. He actually shares the same first name as you. He's on the opposite side, and he is not just an animal, but a wolf on the defensive side of things. You know who I'm talking about. Go for
Mr. Filer. Yeah, he's all right. No, I'm kidding. He is on the other side of the ball. Oh man, but I love that guy. Yeah, he came in last year. This is his first season with us. He integrated right in, and he started being productive with the team, and giving us everything that we needed, and that's all we asked, and that's all we ask of every guy. So he bought in, and he worked his tail off. And I mean, shoot, you can see it when we do one-on-one drills with our tackles and DNs. Like, yeah, I mean, you can. He's a wolf, man. He's a dog. he's
it. Right,
he's
right,
got
right.
technique. He's got speed. He's got power. Uh, he's got what it takes to play the next level for sure. And I love going against him. Like it's free top shelf competition that I'm getting every rep, and it goes the same for him. And I think that's also what makes our team so good is that we got the best defense in the NAIA, and then we have one of the top offenses in the NAIA going head to head for spring, fall, and then practices. And then you got guys of all kinds of talents on the team, especially Jackson Fowler, myself, Toki, Isaiah Toki. You got Jordan Cum, you got Tracy Davis, and you got all these dudes who can play ball. And you put us all on the same field, we're going to make each other better.
I mean, definitely something to look forward to next season. I just kind of want to mention Filer because to me, it's just kind of fun to think, it's great that he's on your team. Heaven forbid he was on someone else's team, and the fact that, during practice, he can't really touch you. So it's kind of nice, having that reassurance that you guys are taken care of. But we got to pray for the opponents, of course, that have to see him, weekly. But do want to take a chance to meet you outside of the game of football a little bit. I know that there's a whole lot about you, man, that we need to share. I know a big part of who you are is your faith. So talk about that a little bit, and anything else that you want to share about yourself, any other fun facts or anything else you want to share with people. Go for
Yeah. I'll just give you a brief synopsis of my testimony. Started at DMC, went to a Christian school, chapel every Thursday, Christian household, mom and dad, fear the Lord, love Jesus. And here I am. Don't really understand it. I go to church, I do this and I do that. But then again, it's just going in one ear and out the other. So for my high school career, I just did what I wanted to do, and I thought I had it all figured out. And I get to college, and I'm blessed to have gotten the opportunities that I had. Unfortunately, I didn't make the most of them because I was arrogant, I was cocky. I just thought, like I said earlier, I had it figured out, and I could just do it on my own because I understood what I needed to do. But that was completely far from the truth. And so obviously I got kicked down the depth chart to fourth or fifth string. And yeah, man, I mean, anybody that happens to, regardless of what's going on in your life, like that freaking sucks. Like you wanna be the best at your position, and you wanna go out there and prove why. And um, that was obviously not the case where I'm at. So, uh, and not only that, like that wasn't the make or break thing. I was just making decisions and doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and I ended up becoming, more depressed, lonely, and just angry. I was just all over the place. I was super isolated, and finally, I was reading this book called How to Make Your Bed, and it had references of Bible verses in it. And obviously, like I've been to church and this and that, so I knew who Jesus was. Like, I was like, yeah, there's this guy who's died on the cross, and he says he's uh, came here to forgive forgive the world their sins, and I'm like, he's my Lord. I accept him. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing right, and I want to serve him. So then, from there on out, that isolation that was soon dark and evil and just tearing me apart became a workshop for me, and how to build myself up as a leader, how to love myself, but also how to treat others, how to speak to them, and show kindness and genuineness and forgiveness, because that was everything that Jesus showed me when I gave my life to him. And even though I made all these mistakes, hey, he met me where I was at. I didn't have to change a thing. He just met me where I was at. And so, and that's the greatest love you can find, besides the fact that he laid his life down for us on the cross. So then moving forward, I get to Grandview, and here I am at a new environment, new school, a new 80 to 90 group of men that are around me. And obviously, like I'm pretty nervous. I'm anxious because I'm trying to figure out, what's the culture like here? Because I only got a brief sniff of it when I came here and visited. But I think after spring ball of my first semester here is when I started to step up in that position. And thanks to Coach Woodley and Coach Fulton, they kind of told me and pushed me to step up, and that I needed to, in order to get this team to where we wanted to be, which was obviously we reached it last season, but that's not the end goal. So no longer do I view football as my identity, and this is what I want people to know me by. And I view myself as the accolades and achievements that I have. No, that's not me anymore. I gave that stuff up. Now the mission is obviously do my best for the team, and give my all on the field. But it's all for the Lord. It's all for the glory of God. But most importantly, is trying to bring as many men on this team, regardless if it's right now or if it's later, to Christ. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm staying here at Grandview for this last year. Is he wants me to finish it, not only the season and what may come of that, but also the mission of bringing even just one soul back to the kingdom of God, because all of heaven rejoices when that happens. So, it's just been a remarkable journey, and I'm extremely blessed. And it's a daily battle. I mean, there's no shortcuts around it. Following Jesus is not sunshine and rainbows. You either choose to follow him or you choose to follow your flesh. So that's the daily battle going on, and you got to make that decision for yourself. And so, with that being said, I mean, just praise the Lord, and I appreciate you allowing me to share my faith on here and my
Sure
testimony.
thing. Anytime, buddy. So I appreciate you sharing all of that. I mean, uh, I feel like again, it's great that you have decided to stick there at Grandview one more season, despite being an All-American, despite winning it all, despite all of these things. Because again, like your mission in life, it extends beyond football. And so I certainly respect that, and you just kind of want to wish you guys all the best this season, because I know again you guys are looking to repeat, and looking to put yourself in a position next season where hopefully you'll get an opportunity in the pros. So as we are looking towards that season, go ahead and tell everybody what we're to expect from Grandview, and what's this quarterback, going to bring to the table next season. So go for it.
Um, don't expect too much change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to come and still be the hard nosed, tough team that we are. We're going to give our all. But I think most importantly, like you're going to see just the team dynamic of a family, of a brotherhood that's accountable, that loves one another, and that just wants to see the success of their brothers next to us. And yeah, I think that's honestly most important. And I think that's why we play so hard for each other is because we trust one another, not because of our talents and what we bring to the football field, but because of the relationships we build with one another. So, um, if anything outside of football that you're expecting from Grandview, um, is that we love each other and that we praise the Lord. And we're gonna come and battle it out in between the white lines and the gridiron and just put on a show. So we're looking forward to it. But right now we got spring ball coming up, and I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, Jackson, want to wish you all the best this upcoming season. I know right now we're just, you know, doing spring ball right now. We're preparing for next season. Looking at a quarterback who was able to will his team to a national championship this past season, and looking for a repeat in 2025. So, Jackson, want to wish you all the best. Okay. All right.
Thank
And
you,
once
Jimmy. Thank
again,
you for having me. I appreciate it.
sure. Once again, I got Jackson Waring, quarterback out of Grandview. Check them out.